Hey guys, what's up? It's Caden from the Code Bros. Today we're going to be going through Lesson 6, which is going to be covering switch statements and menus. So we're going to be learning about switch statements. Those are kind of hard to explain, so we'll just jump into those and kind of go through some examples on that. We'll also be going over making a menu. So this is going to tie in a lot of concepts we've gone over so far, things like looping, using functions, displaying text, and a bit of user interaction with the console. Alrighty, so switch statements are kind of tricky and kind of weird. They take a parameter. This can be different types of data. You could have, for example, an integer. You could have a character as a parameter. And what you do is label out different cases for the parameter. So if it was an integer, you want to label things like case 1, case 2, case 3. It could be case 50, case 100, case -5, just pretty much anything that's an integer. And then as for characters, you want like case A, case B, case C, D, E, F, all that kind of stuff. Alrighty, so let's go over the structure of this. So the switch takes in a parameter. In this case, it's going to take in this integer that's assigned the value of 0. And then each case would be labeled down here. And so for case 0, it's going to perform some action and then break out of the switch statement. So at the very end of each case, you want to put a break, and that just lets it know don't continue into the next line of code here, just jump out of the switch statement as a whole. So you have case 0 here, case 1, so that's if it's a 0 or 1, and then for any other value it can go to what's called default. Default just takes any other case that's not listed above and does something to it. Alrighty, and so menus are going to typically loop until the user tells them to stop. And then they'll also have many options. So you want each of the options broken up into a function, and a switch statement actually acts as a really good way to handle different inputs for menus. Alrighty, so let's take a look at the structure of a menu. So up here we have int choice. This is going to be used to determine which option the user chooses from the menu. We have left and right. These are to pass into our add and subtract functions, and then result is what's going to be returned and assigned to from those functions. So let's take a look. This is the actual menu down here, and so we see out one.add, so telling the user choose 1 to call the add function, choose 2 to call the subtract function, and then we say choose an option down here and tells them pretty much it sets the cursor right past here, which I really like. That way it's just very informative, like input the option for this menu. Then you see into that choice value and then bring that up to the switch statement. In this case, let's say I input 2 down here, it would go to subtract and subtract 5 or subtract 3 from 5, and it would return 2 into result and display that result. Alrighty, let's hop into some code then. Okay, so what we have going on is kind of the add, subtract, multiply, and divide from the last lesson. Now what I'm going to do is pretty much run this menu in just a function called run calculator. So this is going to be a void type, and it's going to take no parameters. So it's going to be a pretty easy one to set up. So I went ahead and set the declaration up there. Now we're going to go ahead and define this function down here. And then I'll copy in just a bit of information. This just sets our function up. You want all your variables at the top of your functions, remember. And so we have a boolean for the while loop, and this I call it done. That way I can say while not done, and it just reads very nicely. I'm going to have a choice here for my switch statement. I have my left operand for the left values of these functions, my right operand for the right values of these functions, and the result for the return value of the functions. And then I just display a quick little message, welcome to the calculator program. Alrighty, so the next thing I want to do is actually just go ahead and set up this loop. So I'm going to say while not done, and I'm going to display a bit of menu options. So we'll do add to the next line, and now I can just kind of copy and paste this a few times for the different menu options. So we got 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we'll do subtract. So subtract, multiply, and divide, and then we'll do exit program. Perfect. So now I want to display, choose option, and I want to keep it on that line. That way the little blinker is kind of just like this cursor here, and it just blinks right there, asking for the input. And then I will end that choice variable we set up here. That way they can choose 1 through 5. Now I want to do a quick if statement because I don't want them to choose 0 or 6 or something like that, right? I want them to make sure that they're choosing 1 through 5, which is actually going to be addressed in the switch statement. But for now, I want to say if it's 1 through 4, I for sure know that they're going to need a left or right operand. And so how I can do that is I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this in, and I'll explain it here. I'm going to do a quick if statement and say if choice is less than 5 and choice is greater than 0. So if choice is 1 through 4, I know I need a left and right operand for those functions. So I'm going to prompt for those left or right operands. If the user input 0, it wouldn't prompt. If the user input 5, it wouldn't prompt. But otherwise it's going to. If it's 1 through 4, it's going to prompt for those left and right operands so that those functions can function properly. So let's head down here to a couple lines past that, and we'll make a switch statement, and it'll run based on that choice. So the choice gets input right here, and then it gets passed into this switch statement. And we're going to have a few different cases. So in case 1, we're going to do and call the add function and return the value of that to result. So we're going to do left operand and right operand. Now I'm just going to display a quick message that the sum of, we'll go left operand and right operand is, we'll do equals, and we'll put the result there, followed by an inline to make it look clean, and then you want to put a break so that it doesn't continue on to the other cases. Now what's pretty convenient about this is copy and paste for the other cases. You can do 2, 3, and 4. Change this to subtract, change this to multiply, change this to divide, and then we just have to change a little bit of wording here to difference, the product, and the quotient. Then for case 5, that's our exit case. So that's how we want to know we're done running the program. So we set done equals to true. I'll go ahead and display a quick message, program exited. Programmed exited. And then break so that it doesn't continue on. And then a default. And this default's just going to be a quick error message saying invalid input. Please try again. Do a quick inline there as well. And then a break after that. Alright, so everything looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and come up to main, and we'll put that run calculator function and call it right there in main. And that'll just loop until 5 is input. And then once 5 gets input, it'll exit this run calculator function, hit the return 0, and our program will end. Let's take a look at how that runs. So welcome to the calculator program. So we're going to choose an option. We'll go through 1 through 4 real quick. So 1 is add. So we're going to add 20 and 30. So the sum of 20 and 30 equals 50. We'll do subtract. We'll say 60 minus 10 should be 50. The difference of 60 and 10 equals 50. Multiply 2 times 5. The product of 2 and 5 equals 10. And then divide. We'll go 90 and 15. The quotient of 90 and 15 equals 6. Perfect. So now if we enter 0, as you can see, it just says that invalid input, please try again. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at what that's doing exactly. So I put 0 here into choice, and it's saying, oh, choice is 0, so it's not greater than 0. So this becomes turns out to be a false return value inside of here, and so it doesn't jump into that if statement, so it doesn't prompt for left and right operands. Comes down to the switch choice, says, is it 1? No, it was 0. 2? No, it was 0. 3? 0. 4? Was it 0? Or was it 4? No, it was 0. And goes through the list. Comes down to default, and it says, well, it wasn't any of these, so we're going to go into the default one, and it displays that invalid input, please try again. And then, since done didn't change, it just comes all the way back up to the top and redisplays this menu up here. So if I was to put in 6, as you can see, invalid input again, please try again. And if I was to input 5, it says program exited, please press any key to continue, and the program closes. So yeah, that's how you make a basic menu. I'll zoom out here so you can just take a quick peek at the whole function here. Get the while loop in there. Alrighty. So, hope you guys enjoyed this one. In the next one, it's going to get real fun. If you remember back to around lesson 3 and 4, we were working with structs and an array of structs, making like workers more or less. So I'm going to draw up a cool lesson for that, maybe make it so that we can change their values, do all kinds of cool stuff. We'll be tying everything we've learned with functions and all that kind of good stuff into that struct we were working with before. It'll be a lot of fun. Hope to see you guys in the comments and stuff. Yeah, take it easy.